Bill Christopher. Join me for a road trip.
We're going to take a little trip across America's heartland and an inch of history along the overland route.
Of course, road trips are a lot more fun when you've got a busy railroad next to you, like the Union Pacific's mainline across Nebraska, the original transcontinental railroad.
U.S. Route 30, the Lincoln Highway. Get off the interstate, see the real America. The Union Pacific started construction at Omaha, across the Missouri River from Council Bluffs, head up through Fremont to Columbus, which is where we started our road trip today, on down through Central City, following US 30 here, of course, Grand Island, Kearney. Just east of Kearney is Gibbon, which is where the Marysville sub from Kansas City joins up. Lots of trains west of Gibbon. Kearney, Lexington, Cozad, Gothenburg, North Platte, site of the largest freight classification yard in the world. Hershey, Nebraska, where the coal trains, most of the coal trains head north along the North Platte River, so there's fewer trains along the main line west of there. On to Ogallala, and eventually Julesburg, Colorado, which is as far as we're going to go today before headed out to Denver. Our traveling companion is Red Rock, my 1999 Jeep Cherokee with 350,000 miles.
Keeping pace with the Pacer Stack Train. 68 miles an hour.
Most of Nebraska is prime farmland, very much part of America's breadbasket, but they haven't forgotten their pioneer roots. It's a land of little towns still tied to the land. Prairie skyscrapers dot the landscape along the railroad here, feeding both the Union Pacific and the local economy. The Platte River has been a natural course of human history, starting with the Native Americans and on to the Oregon Trail, the Pony Express, the first telegraph line across the West, the Union Pacific Railroad, then Lincoln Highway, and nowadays Interstate 80, which we have not been on at all today. Before he was elected president, Abraham Lincoln asked Grenville Dodge, a civil engineer, what would be the best route for a transcontinental railroad. General Dodge said, build west out of Council Bluffs, Iowa, along the Platte River Valley. Lincoln signed the Pacific Railroad Act in 1862, creating today's Union Pacific Railroad. Of course, President Lincoln wouldn't survive to see the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad, but Grenville Dodge would survive being a major general in the Union Army and would complete the railroad in 1869, along with his friends in California. If you came here in 1867, you'd see a single spindly main line with brittle iron rail on top of cottonwood ties. Now in 2013, we have 3 mainline tracks, all CTC controlled, with 133-pound welded rail on concrete ties, 20-foot track centers. Magnificent infrastructure.
Cozad, Nebraska, at the 100th Meridian. Where's the tragically hip when you need them?
A safety lesson in Brady, Nebraska. If you're in North Platte, be sure to check out the Golden Spike Tower and Visitor Center. It's 8 stories high and gives you a great view of Bailey Yard, the largest freight classification yard in the world. The yard itself is 8 miles long. Some railroads don't even go that far between sidings. Over here you can see the engine terminal. There are hundreds of locomotives here. Be sure to check out the railroad display at Cody Park in North Platte. It's the home of Union Pacific 3977, a 4664 Challenger type locomotive that was just as good in passenger service as it was in freight. They tell us that this is the only engine of this class in permanent display. That's because there's only one other one left, number 3985, and the Union Pacific keeps that one in running condition. They also have Centennial locomotive 6922, an example of the world's largest freight locomotive. Snow fences. Here's an unusual train of empty flat cars. Probably was hauling pipe the other way.
Colorful Colorado, the promised land.
Our road trip ends in Julesburg, where the Union Pacific Main Line dips into Colorado for several miles. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. This program was shot on an iPhone 5, post-production on a park bench in Denver, Colorado.